At the break of every dawn in Kenya, over 600,000 public sector employees pour into thousands of workstations spread out across the 47 counties. Be they teachers in the classrooms, police officers maintaining law and order, health practitioners maintaining healthy communities, or administrative officials meeting citizens in a last-mile service delivery. Wherever they are, whatever their work is, they are the arms of the state, meeting her obligations to her citizens. The need of the public sector for which these men and women work is to have a functional economy, to provide the private sector with an enabling environment to efficiently operate. One of the biggest challenges to the public service in Kenya is demotivation and chronic disparities in remuneration. Harmonization of salaries is therefore a priority in the making of a strategic public service. That is what the Salaries and Remuneration Commission seeks to achieve with the ongoing job evaluation exercise.
You're talking of a culture that recognized individualism, where salaries was set and determined because of how close you are to the authority. And what did this do other than bring a lot of disparities, a lot of iniquities, and literally demotivating the entire public sector workforce?
So we are putting in a professionally done, acceptable process whereby we look at all the parameters of the job and look at the intrinsic job values and peg pay to it. As we do the job evaluation, we also undertake salary survey. And salary survey is important because we have to look at the internal relativity between the jobs that exist within the service, that's the public service, and the neighboring countries and the economies similar to our country.
Based on the past settings, the state officer salaries for Kenya was almost the highest in the world, as it were. We conduct analysis, we do a lot of research, we have conducted a lot of benchmark so that we are within the global setup.
I understand that the aim of this exercise is really to harmonize and to streamline pay and benefits in the public sector with a view to ensuring that public money is managed in an effective, efficient, and prudent manner.
The public service job evaluation identifies, analyzes, and measures each job within the public sector against established criteria and weighs the relative value of jobs in a uniform and consistent manner.
It gives an opportunity for the job holders and the employer and an independent person to analyze the jobs and understand them. So first it's understanding the jobs, then putting a value to those jobs, and through that coming up with a structure of jobs in the public service or any other entity that you'll be looking at from a job evaluation perspective. So it's a scientific way of looking at jobs in a fairly objective manner, because that's what is required, being objective.
You don't want to pay jobs that are probably not valued at a very high level, at a very high cost, because again, you'll be overpaying somebody, in which case there's no case for doing that. But with a proper job evaluation, then you know exactly where somebody falls, you know the exact level at which they should be remunerated.
So the job evaluation gives you an index of the productivity, it gives you an index of the productivity expectation. Once those two indexes are established, you need an HR process to now manage the actual performance.
It's my pleasure to welcome you today to the launch of the Public Sector Remuneration and Benefits Policy and Job Evaluation Exercise for Public Service. This is truly...
The Salaries and Remuneration Commission started the job evaluation exercise in June 2015 for the civil service, county governments, commercial and strategic state corporations, constitutional commissions, independent offices and teaching service, and service and regulatory state corporations.
Health having been devolved, then as of necessity, KEMS had to look into its business model, change the way it operates, come up with a business model that is aligned to the needs and the wants of the devolved healthcare system. And that necessitated that we do a job evaluation, a job analysis and grading so that we can place our human capital accordingly in the new business model and in the new business environment.
This is going to lend credits to the circulars they issue, the determinations they make, the advisories they give. We are now okay because we know a lot of effort has gone into informing decisions that they ultimately make as a commission.
For the disciplined forces, job evaluation means a broad understanding of all the ranks and positions, being a basis for remuneration for all officers going forward.
There is need to do job evaluation within the disciplined forces, basically because they are also members of the public service. And we need to evaluate the entire public service. All the disciplined services have their own individual and distinct role that is very, very different from the other. We shall be able now to go to all the ranks, evaluate those ranks, so that at the end, you may have people serving in the same rank, but doing different jobs, and all of them have been identified, and each one of those jobs has also been given a worth. Okay? So eventually, we shall be able not only to identify the full role of the organization, but internally, the rank structure, and all the jobs involved in each rank.
Beyond establishing the actual value of all public service jobs, the job evaluation exercise will provide a basis for salary negotiations between public service employees or their representatives and the government.
We want to see that you are getting the right reward. And it becomes simpler for the trade union leaders to be able to say, this is our contribution, this is our expectation as workers in this sector. So it's going to be a competition for all of us to work harder and get rewarded for the way we make our contribution in the workplace.
Having been evaluated first, the state officers' remuneration structure demonstrate the order and accountability the job evaluation brings to the public service.
We had to undertake job evaluation for all state officers, and parliamentarians are state officers. There are state officers in the executive, there are state officers in parliament, which are the members of parliament, as well as the speaker, and at that level we have them as state officers.
Job evaluation for state officers created a remuneration structure for state officers, which is gazetted. Today, if a state officer is appointed, maybe you could be a CS, a PS, a member of parliament, people might complain, but you have a structure, salary structure and a grading structure for them. To me, that's very important because it created sanity in the way things are managed in this country. For state officers, it's very, very clear, including the magistrates, in the judiciary. To me, that is one of the greatest achievement of this commission, because when principles and policies are set in place, then it is very easy for everyone to work.
The job evaluation exercise, with all its successes, has also experienced some notable challenges.
It's a very emotive issue. So it's the emotions around it and managing expectations that has been a challenge for us, whilst remaining focused on doing an exercise that is sustainable. Most Kenyans thinking that our job is to increase. Others think that what we want to do is to reduce our pay and to reduce numbers in the public service, which has not really been the motive at all.
The other one is misunderstanding and misinterpretation of SRC mandate. There are institutions that have said one of your mandate is to advise, and we understand advice to mean you may take it or you may not. We've moved in to say advice is constitutionally given, therefore it's mandatory. It's mandatory to the extent that it links up to the sustainability of the wage bill. So some have challenged that, and so we have had to address some of the things in court. We have court cases lined up as we're talking now, and so we're moving in also to address the cases that are in court. We have inadequate funding. You know the challenge that, of course, when you don't toe the line, then you will be constrained through other means. We, of course, have had direct challenges where SRC is threatened with disbandment.
In the long run, the Salaries and Remuneration Commission envisions the public service job evaluation to help manage public wages, reduce the cost of doing business, ensure job security, stabilize private sector wages, and improve performance and productivity of public servants, and thus guaranteeing economic growth. The vision is to come to a point where public sector employees are satisfied that they are fairly, equitably, and transparently compensated for their labor, while enabling the public service to attract and retain skilled personnel.
In fulfillment of the Constitution, my government is once again committed to ensure that every public servant is fairly remunerated, as this is a key requirement of good governance and better service delivery.
The taxpayers are the ones who are responsible for paying the workers in the public sector. And the taxpayers also expect services to be improved in terms of the way the whole system works. So that is a balance. We are going to get a balance between all of us as a country. And job evaluation is going to address all those concerns in this country.
We feel that if we make people accountable at a personal level, then you will be rewarding for work that has been done. Because we are slowly changing the culture of the public service, where people might have gone to work, but they could not account for what they have done at the end of the day, at the end of the month, even at the end of the year. So we are very keen on ensuring that we pay for the work done, and that's very important to us.
When all is said and done, job evaluation is simply fair play for fair pay.